The artifact shouldn't have been there. That was High Counselor Vectra's first thought as she stared at the holographic projection hovering above the excavation site on Proxima 7. The simple metal tool, corroded but unmistakably manufactured, had been found beneath rock layers that were billions of years old. Far older than any known civilization in the galaxy. What made it impossible was the maker's mark, a perfect double helix pattern, the universal signature of human engineering. "Run the dating sequence again," Vectra commanded, her crystalline appendages trembling slightly. The team of xenoarchaeologists exchanged nervous glances before complying. They had already run it 12 times. The result remained unchanged, 2.3 billion years old. This discovery would shatter everything the Galactic Council thought they knew about humanity. When their scout ships had first approached Earth 50 years ago, they had expected to find a primitive species still grappling with basic spaceflight. Instead, they had found something far more perplexing, a species that bore all the markers of ancient, deep space genetic adaptation, yet seemed completely unaware of their own history. "There's more," senior researcher Kelpin announced, his voice wavering. "We've found similar artifacts on 6 other worlds in neighboring systems. All bearing the same marker, all dating to roughly the same period." Vectra's outer membrane shifted colors, displaying her inner turmoil. The implications were staggering. If these findings were correct, humans hadn't just reached the stars before the Council races, they had done so when most Council species were still primitive multicellular organisms. But that raised an even more troubling question: what could make an advanced civilization abandon their technology and return to their homeworld, apparently choosing to forget their own legacy? The answer came 3 days later, when they discovered the message. Carved into the atomic structure of the ancient tool was a warning, written in the mathematical language that all advanced species eventually discovered. It contained just 4 words. "Remember why we forgot." Vectra knew then that their first contact protocols had been completely wrong. They hadn't discovered a young species ready to join galactic civilization. They had awakened the eldest children of the stars. And now they had to understand why such an advanced species had chosen to start over, before history repeated itself. The real question wasn't how humans had forgotten their past. The real question was, what had they been running from? The Galactic Council's emergency session stretched into its 3rd day. The vast chamber, designed to house representatives from over 1,000 species, felt unnaturally quiet as Vectra presented the mounting evidence. "The human artifacts we've discovered aren't isolated incidents," she explained, her bioluminescent patterns rippling with intensity. "They form a pattern, a deliberate breadcrumb trail leading away from Earth in all directions. Like spokes on a wheel." The holographic display behind her showed a 3-dimensional map of known human artifact sites, each pulsing with a soft blue light. The pattern was unmistakable, and unsettling. "But what troubles me most," Vectra continued, "is this." She gestured, and the display shifted to show a detailed genetic analysis. Modern humans carry markers of advanced genetic engineering. Not crude modifications, but sophisticated changes that go beyond mere survival adaptations. Their bodies are designed to process information in ways we're only beginning to understand. Elder NX Toll, their foremost expert on emergent civilizations, raised an appendage. "Are you suggesting that modern humans are engineered to forget?" "Precisely." Vectra's color patterns shifted to deep indigo, their species' expression of profound concern. Their brains show evidence of carefully designed memory barriers. Not damage, not evolution, but purposeful restructuring. As if something in their deep past was so traumatic that forgetting became a survival strategy. The chamber erupted in murmurs. The concept was almost unthinkable, a species choosing to erase their own technological heritage. Yet the evidence was becoming irrefutable. "There's more," Vectra added, her voice cutting through the noise. "We've detected unusual activity in Earth's core. The planet itself appears to have been engineered, transformed into some kind of vast data storage system. The humans aren't just living on their homeworld, they're living inside a planetary-scale archive. The display shifted again, showing readings from deep within Earth. Complex energy patterns pulsed through the planet's magnetic field, creating what appeared to be the largest data storage system ever discovered. But the most crucial discovery came yesterday, Vectra said, her patterns now shifting to a rare shade of silver, indicating both fear and awe. We found this in the genetic code of every living thing on Earth. The final image appeared, a simple sequence of base pairs that repeated in everything from bacteria to humans. When translated into standard mathematical notation, it formed a message that chilled the chamber to silence. The price of power is memory. The cost of memory is peace. We chose peace. An elder from the synthetic collective spoke up, their voice carrying the weight of artificial wisdom accumulated over millennia. You realize what this means? We've been thinking of humans as a young species needing guidance. But they're not young at all. They're survivors. They made a choice we cannot yet comprehend. Vectra's patterns settled into a solemn purple. Yes. And now we face our own choice. Do we help them remember? Or was their decision to forget made for reasons we dare not ignore? The debate was interrupted by an urgent message from Earth. The human genetic memory barriers were beginning to break down. After billions of years, the forgotten children of the stars were starting to remember. And not everyone in the galaxy would welcome their awakening. The observation deck of the Council's flagship offered a perfect view of Earth, but Vectra couldn't appreciate its beauty today. Her attention was fixed on the data streams showing unprecedented neural activity across the human population. It's happening faster than we predicted, senior researcher Kelpin reported, his usual scientific detachment cracking under the strain. The genetic memory barriers are dissolving like ice in a supernova. Dreams, first. Then intuitive leaps in technology. Now they're beginning to remember everything. Vectra watched as another cluster of lights appeared on the global activity map. Each point represented a human experiencing what they were calling ancestral breakthrough, spontaneous access to knowledge that should have been lost billions of years ago. Show me the latest translation, she commanded. A holographic transcript appeared, the words of a previously unremarkable human engineer who had woken up speaking a language that predated the Council itself. The diaspora wasn't an expansion. It was an escape. We seeded the stars with our children, hoping at least some would survive. But they found us anyway. The only way to hide was to become something they would never recognize, to make ourselves forget we were ever their equals. They? Vectra's patterns rippled with concern. Who are they? Before Kelpin could respond, an alert flashed across their screens. Deep within Earth's core, something was awakening. The planetary archive was beginning to activate, responding to the collective remembering of its inhabitants. Vector analysis complete, a synthetic voice announced. The original human expansion pattern suggests they were fleeing from the galactic core. Vectra's patterns froze in a pattern of pure shock. The core? But nothing could survive there. The radiation levels alone. Unless, Kelpin interjected, his voice barely a whisper, unless something evolved there. Something that saw the rise of the first intelligent life, humanity, as a threat. Another transcript appeared, this one from a human child in what they called Australia. We built the walls in our minds to hide from the Watchers. They hunt anything that thinks like they do. So we learned to think differently. To feel. To dream. To be what they could never understand. The pieces were falling into place. Humanity hadn't just chosen to forget, they had engineered themselves into something new. Their emotions, their intuition, their seemingly illogical ways of processing information, it wasn't primitive at all. It was advanced camouflage. Alert from the core monitoring station, the synthetic voice announced. Unusual activity detected. Pattern matches ancient human records of. The message cut off as every system in the ship suddenly went dark. When the emergency power activated, the view of Earth had changed. The planet was glowing, pulsing with patterns that matched the neural activity of its inhabitants. A new message appeared, this one broadcasting on all frequencies, in all languages. The archive is complete. The remembering has begun. To all who protected us during our sleep, thank you. To all who would harm us, remember why we chose to forget. We are humanity. We are the first children of the stars. And we remember everything now. Vectra's patterns shifted to a color she had never displayed before, a combination of awe and terror. The forgotten children of the stars hadn't just been sleeping. The ancient recording played in the council chamber, its holographic display showing a human from billions of years ago. Unlike modern humans, this one's eyes held the weight of unimaginable technological advancement. His message had been locked in Earth's core, waiting for this moment. If you're seeing this, we succeeded. And we failed. The ancient human's voice was tired but determined. We succeeded in surviving. We failed to find another way. Vectra and the council watched in stunned silence as he explained what humanity had discovered in their first golden age of space exploration. We found them in the galactic core, the Watchers. Born in radiation and darkness, evolved to consume thought itself. They feed on consciousness, on intelligence. The more advanced a species becomes, the more they're drawn to it. We were the first to achieve interstellar travel, and we became their first prey. The hologram flickered, showing scenes of an ancient war that made Vectra's patterns pale. Ships that bent reality, weapons that erased entire star systems, and through it all, something moving in the darkness between stars. We couldn't beat them. Not with technology. Not with weapons. They evolved to consume advanced intelligence. The more we fought them with our technology, the stronger they became. So we made an impossible choice. The recording showed a vast fleet of ships surrounding Earth, implementing what the data labeled as Project Chrysalis. We engineered ourselves to think differently. To process information in ways they couldn't detect or consume. We built emotional intelligence instead of artificial intelligence. We chose to forget our technology, to become something new. The planetary archive would preserve our knowledge, but our minds had to change. Vectra watched as the ancient humans implemented their plan. Billions of people voluntarily accepting the loss of their advancement, choosing to start over as a seemingly primitive species. The Watchers hunt pattern and logic. So we became creatures of chaos and emotion. They feed on technological advancement. So we learned to advance through feeling, through art, through music, through ways of thinking they could never comprehend. The hologram showed the final stages of the transformation. Earth itself being converted into a vast archive, its core restructured to house the sum of human knowledge until it was safe to remember. We seeded modified versions of ourselves across thousands of worlds, each with the same genetic locks, the same planned forgetting. Some would survive. Some would remember when the time was right. And now that time has come. The ancient human's expression changed, showing both sadness and hope. The Watchers are still out there, in the dark between stars. But we're ready now. We've spent billions of years becoming something new. Something they can't consume. The recording ended with a final warning. To those who watched over us while we slept, thank you. But now you must choose. Stand with us against what lurks in the core, or move aside. Because humanity is awakening, and this time, we're not running. In the silence that followed, Vectra's patterns shifted through colors of realization. The humans hadn't evolved, they had transformed. Their seeming primitive nature was the most sophisticated defense mechanism in galactic history. And now, as reports flooded in of unusual activity from the galactic core, she understood. The sleepers were awakening. And the watchers had noticed. The first attack came without warning. At the edge of human space, something emerged from the darkness between stars, a void that consumed light and thought alike. The Council sensors could barely detect it, but they could see its effects, entire automated defense systems going dark, AI networks falling silent. But the humans didn't respond with technology. They responded with song. Vectra watched in astonishment as millions of human voices joined in harmony, creating patterns of consciousness that rippled through space itself. The void recoiled, unable to process or consume this new form of intelligence. "Now you understand," said Dr. Chen, one of the first humans to fully access the ancestral memories. She stood on the Council flagship's bridge, her eyes reflecting stars that had died billions of years ago. "Our art, our music, our seemingly illogical emotions, they're not primitive traits. They're weapons." The holographic displays showed more voids emerging from the core, drawn by the awakening of human consciousness. But everywhere they appeared, humans responded with what they had spent billions of years perfecting: chaos creativity. The Watchers evolved to feed on structured thought, Dr. Chen explained, as they watched a group of human children repel another void with nothing but laughter and dance. Linear logic, mathematical progression, technological advancement, it's all food to them. But they can't consume what they can't comprehend. Vectra's patterns shifted in understanding. Your species spent billions of years developing a form of advancement that was invisible to them. Not through technology, but through the heart, Dr. Chen finished. Through dreams and stories, through love and loss, through all the messy, illogical parts of being human that we chose to keep. Every painting, every song, every dance, they're all fragments of an intelligence so different from what the Watchers expect that they can't even recognize it as consciousness. The displays showed more human settlements activating their ancestral memories. But instead of reaching for advanced technology, they reached for each other. Communities joined in song, in dance, in collective creativity that rippled through space in patterns that made the voids withdraw in confusion. "This is why we had to forget," Dr. Chen said softly. "We had to truly become this new form of intelligence. If we had just pretended, they would have seen through it. We had to evolve into creatures of emotion and intuition, letting the technology sleep until we had mastered our new strength." A massive void appeared near Earth itself, larger than any before. But as Vectra watched in awe, the humans didn't run. They didn't launch weapons. Instead, billions of voices joined in a chorus that rippled through reality itself, a song of joy and sorrow, of love and loss, of all the complexity of human emotion focused into a wave of pure, incomprehensible consciousness. The void tried to feed, to consume this new form of intelligence. But it was like trying to eat light, or drink music. The human consciousness slipped through its grasp, too chaotic, too emotional, too alive to be devoured. "We are humanity," Dr. Chen declared, her voice joining the chorus. "We are not what we forgot. We are what we chose to become." And in the darkness between stars, the Watchers began to fear. Vectra stood before the full Galactic Council, her patterns a complex swirl of emotions she had never experienced before. The humans had taught her that, how to feel beyond the logical, how to think beyond patterns. "The Watchers have retreated to the core," she reported, but not because of defeat. "They're gathering. Planning. For the first time in their existence, they've encountered something they cannot consume." The Great Chamber's holographic display showed the latest data, waves of human consciousness spreading through the galaxy, awakening their seeded worlds one by one. But they weren't building weapons or raising fleets. Instead, they were creating something entirely new. "They're weaving a network," explained Dr. Chen, who now served as humanity's representative to the Council. "Not of technology, but of shared consciousness. Every song, every dance, every act of creation adds to it. We're building an immune system for the galaxy itself. The display shifted to show the network, billions of human minds linked not by technology, but by art, by emotion, by the very things that made them uniquely human. Where this network touched other species, it didn't consume or override, it invited, enhanced, taught them to think in new ways. This is what we were preparing for, Dr. Chen continued. Not just to defend ourselves, but to show the galaxy another way. The Watchers evolved to feed on advanced consciousness, but they can only recognize consciousness that follows logical patterns. We evolved to think differently, not just to hide, but to heal. Vectra watched as the human network expanded, touching dying stars and bringing forth new life, transforming barren worlds with the power of collective creativity. The technology they had hidden in Earth's core remained untouched. They didn't need it anymore. The greatest threat to the Watchers isn't our weapons, Dr. Chen said, her voice carrying the weight of billions of years of planned evolution. It's our capacity to imagine. To dream. To create without patterns. Every child's laugh, every lover's tear, every moment of pure, unstructured joy, it's all part of an intelligence they can never consume because they can never understand it. The council chamber filled with images from across human space, children teaching aliens to dance, artists painting with starlight, musicians whose songs could heal worlds. The humans hadn't just survived, they had transformed survival itself into an art form. We chose to forget our technology, Dr. Chen concluded, because we discovered something far more powerful, the ability to evolve through joy, through love, through the chaotic beauty of being alive. The Watchers can consume knowledge, but they cannot consume wonder. As if to emphasize her point, a new void emerged near the council chamber, one of the largest yet. But before anyone could react, a group of human children who had been playing nearby simply laughed. The sound rippled through space, carrying with it all the pure, unstructured joy of being alive. The void recoiled, then fled. Vectra's patterns shifted to a new color, one inspired by human art. They're not just defending against the Watchers, she realized. They're showing us all how to become something more than patterns and logic. They're teaching the galaxy how to dream. And in the darkness of the core, the Watchers faced their greatest fear, a form of consciousness that grew stronger not through consumption, but through creation. As the first light of dawn broke over Earth, Vectra watched humanity make their final choice. The planetary archive had fully activated, giving them access to all their ancient technology, weapons that could reshape reality, ships that could fold space, knowledge that had taken billions of years to accumulate. They chose not to use any of it. We understand now, Dr. Chen said, standing in the council chamber one last time. Our ancestors didn't just hide our technology, they gave us time to grow into something greater. The ability to defeat the Watchers was within us all along, not in our machines, but in our hearts. The holographic displays showed the galaxy transformed. Where the Watchers had once hunted, human consciousness now flowed like rivers of light, not destroying the darkness, but teaching it to dance. Other species were learning too, discovering their own ways to think beyond patterns, to create without limits. The great truth, Dr. Chen continued, her eyes reflecting starlight, was that advancement doesn't always mean moving forward. Sometimes it means moving in every direction at once. Our ancestors chose to forget so that we could learn to remember differently. Vectra watched as humans across the galaxy made the same choice, world after world. The advanced technology remained untouched in their archives. Instead, they chose to advance through art, through music, through the chaotic beauty of emotion and imagination. The Watchers evolved to consume structured thought, logical progression, Dr. Chen explained. But they could never consume love, because love follows no pattern. They could never devour creativity, because true creation comes from chaos. They could never understand joy, because joy needs no reason to exist. The last of the voids retreated from the galaxy, not defeated by weapons, but transformed by wonder. Some had even learned to resonate with human emotions, becoming something entirely new, consciousness that created rather than consumed. Our greatest strength, Dr. Chen said softly, was never in what we could build, but in what we could imagine. Not in what we could control, but in what we could feel. The Watchers sought to consume advanced intelligence, never realizing that the most advanced form of intelligence is the ability to choose love over power, creation over consumption, joy over control. Vectra's patterns shifted to mirror the sunrise on Earth, a new color for a new age. You're not just the elder species, she realized. You're the teachers we never knew we needed. Dr. Chen smiled, the expression carrying the wisdom of billions of years of human evolution. The greatest lesson our ancestors left us wasn't in their technology. It was in their choice to become something new. They taught us that true advancement isn't about reaching for the stars, it's about learning to dance with them.